Hello, everyone, and welcome to our forum titled There is No Peace Without Justice, discussing the Tai Ji Men tax case, as well as commemorating the September 21st UN International Day of Peace. The International Day of Peace is a day of strengthening the ideals of peace and providing a reminder of what is most important despite the chaos that surrounds this world. With love and conscience in our hearts, we can strive for peace and create a world where people can live together in harmony. As we move forward in the Tai Ji Men tax case, we continue to be reminded of our constant fight for peace and human rights against the Taiwanese government. Today, we have gathered a panel of experts and Tai Ji Men dizi to discuss the injustices they have seen and encountered in the Tai Ji Men tax case. But first, I would like to present a video on how top Taiwanese officials publicly view Tai Ji Men.
This year's International Day of Peace comes at a crisis point for humanity. COVID-19 has turned our world upside down. Conflicts are spinning out of control, the climate emergency is worsening, inequality and poverty are deepening, and mistrust and division are driving people apart at a time when solidarity and collaboration are needed more than ever. As a human family, we face a stark choice: peace or perpetual peril. We must choose peace. That is why I call for a 24-hour ceasefire today, and by working in solidarity for a lasting
Tai Ji Men is a manpai of Qigong, martial arts, and self-cultivation that aims to promote the essence of Tai Chi culture and improve the physical, mental, and spiritual health of the people of the world. Since ancient times, this excellent culture has been passed down from Shifu to dizi. For Tai Ji Men dizi, practicing Qigong is one of the ways to facilitate self-improvement. Additionally, they have been conducting various forms of culture exchanges to spread the ideas of conscience, love, and peace. Since its inception, Tai Ji Men has never done any fundraisers or accept any public donations. Tai Ji Men Shifu and dizi have self-funded trips to over 100 nations and presented over 3,000 performances to foster a culture of peace. Their efforts have been widely recognized and highly praised at home and abroad.
For the past 35 years since its founding, your esteemed organization has upheld its objectives of loyalty, filial piety, love of the country, and love of society, uniting like-minded people to promote martial arts, traditional culture, and good social values. It's admirable.
Tai Ji Men is an ancient manpai of Qigong and martial arts passed down from generation to generation. It's like a big warm family. All dizi are energetic and healthy physically and mentally. Under Zhang Menzhen's leadership, the dizi not only practice self-cultivation, but also spread kindness to help the world. Through international culture exchanges, they foster love for the world, promoting the idea of love and peace worldwide. On behalf of the government, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my utmost respect and gratitude to you once again. Thank you for your long-term efforts and contributions to our country and society.
Every time we see Tai Ji Men, we see energy, warmth, and love. We all admire Dr. Holmes' compassion and would like to see Tai Ji Men practice this worldwide. Let Taiwan stand out and let the world come in.
Under the John Menren's leadership, Tai Ji Men has actively participated in international events, conducted citizen diplomacy, and raised Taiwan's global visibility. In the future, I also hope that Tai Ji Men under Dr. Hong's leadership will continue to work with the government. Let us use our positive influence and move Taiwan forward with continued progress. Let the world see Taiwan.
Tai Ji Men is a Menpai of Qigong and martial arts. It's a place for self-betterment and Qigong practice with a focus on teaching loyalty and filial piety.
Tai Ji Men dizi. You've been contributing your money and efforts with the idea of love and peace, as well as your excellent civil and martial arts. You've created a peaceful and very happy place in the world.
I would like to thank the organizer, Tai Ji Men Qigong Academy, again for its efforts over the years.
I think it is wonderful that Tai Ji Men is able to work with our health department to host this event, New Health Concepts, Total Mobilization Against the SARS.
Be kind, do good deeds, speak kind words. As Tai Ji Men just said, an era of conscience has come.
If we all follow our conscience in everything we do, and the collective power of kindness, we'll definitely improve ourselves, society, and the nation.
On New Year's Day and Taiwan's National Day, we can see Tai Ji Men's brilliant performances. It is arguably the best example and representation of Taiwan's civil society.
We are releasing sky lanterns simultaneously around the world to pray for all humanity. Many Tai Ji Men volunteers assisted in the event.
We, the organizing committee for the National Day, extend our gratitude to all of you again for your efforts and assistance. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to all of you.
In recent years, Tai Ji Men's activity have always been very successful and very inspiring, especially their contribution to culture.
Tai Ji Men's value and the cultural value it promotes do not limit to just traditional culture. The main thing is that it has made positive contributions to society. We hope Tai Ji Men will continue to soar to greater heights.
Human rights are universal values. I think today, through Tai Ji Men's promotion, Taiwan's society will pay more attention to the fundamental human rights.
Tai Ji Men has promoted martial arts and ethics, and projected our nation's arts and culture onto the international stage.
This year, Tai Ji Men is promoting an era of conscience in particular. People need to apply their conscience, do good deeds, and foster social harmony. This is very meaningful. We hope the people of Taiwan will support this movement.
It's truly amazing. Even heaven is bestowing its blessings. Like today, there's wind and sunshine, and the temperature is very good. I saw all participants here were very, very joyful. This is really rare. Even heaven is helping you.
I'm very grateful for Tai Ji Men's work in civilian diplomacy. Tai Ji Men has always been committed to public welfare. I want to thank you for coming here and adding vitality to the program. This is Tai Ji Men's spirit.
Through this method, we are displaying our traditional culture, sports, and arts in a different way. I think it's very, very good. It's very helpful for us in the international community.
On behalf of the government, I came to present a certificate of recognition to the Jimen Ren of Tai Ji Men, Dr. Hong Daozi, for actively participating in international affairs, promoting martial art activities, projecting Taiwan onto the whole world over the years, and especially for enhancing Taiwan's image.
Tai Ji Men itself is the best example. In particular, after their performances during the Sydney Olympics, for many people around the world, when they think of Taiwan, they think of Tai Ji Men.
At the invitation of the city of Seattle, Tai Ji Men participated in the Seafair in Seattle. The top 10 festivals in the United States. Tai Ji Men's tradition is to strengthen the body, cultivate the heart and moral character through Chinese martial arts, and truly demonstrate the profoundity of Chinese culture.
Under the leadership of Dr. Hong Daozi, Tai Ji Men is spreading a message of love and peace not only to Taiwan, but also to the world, so that we can hear a refreshing voice amid the chaos in the world.
Today, we are very thankful that Tai Ji Men dizi came here. They not only presented performances, but most importantly, this kind of spirit. In fact, that is what Taiwan needs. That is to have confidence. When we apply this kind of kindness and stay serene in the heart, the power will be boundless as tranquility generates wisdom.
Enduring hardship makes one stronger. Tai Ji Men Shifu and dizi have been persecuted for over 2 decades. Despite this ordeal, they continue to foster love, peace, and conscience around the world. Dr. Rene Wadlow, president of the Association of World Citizens, an NGO associated with the UNDPI, stated that Tai Ji Men has been very active throughout the world to conduct cultural exchanges and promote a culture of love and peace. They have brought people Taiwan's rich cultural life and heritage, and its pursuit of love and peace. Especially when their rights have been persecuted for many years, they still choose to continue promoting conscience, love, and peace. This is very exceptional. The Taiwanese government should protect Tai Ji Men and resolve the tax issue in a fair and transparent manner.
As shown in the video, the Taiwanese officials publicly celebrate Tai Ji Men as the pride of the nation and praise it for its cultural contributions around the globe. However, for 25 years, the case has ensued, and these Taiwanese leaders continue to shelter the corrupt officials behind this fabricated case, even though politicians, lawyers, and scholars alike have declared this case to be fraudulent and not guided by evidence. There has been no resolution for 25 years. Before I introduce our first keynote speaker, I would like to present Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, to discuss the important day of the International Day of Peace.
This year's International Day of Peace comes at a crisis point for humanity. COVID-19 has turned our world upside down. Conflicts are spinning out of control, the climate emergency is worsening, inequality and poverty are deepening, and mistrust and division are driving people apart at a time when solidarity and collaboration are needed more than ever. As a human family, we face a stark choice: peace or perpetual peril. We must choose peace. That is why I call for a 24-hour ceasefire today. And by working in solidarity for a lasting, sustainable peace every day, we can tackle the issues facing us. We need peace to urgently deliver life-saving vaccines and treatment for COVID-19. We need peace to recover from the pandemic and rebuild shattered systems and shattered lives. We need peace to level the playing field and reduce inequalities. We need peace to renew trust in one another and faith in facts and science. And we need to make peace with nature, to heal our planet, build a green economy, and achieve our net zero targets. Peace is not a naive dream. It is a light in the darkness, guiding us to the only pathway to a better future for humanity. Let's walk the pathway of peace as if our lives depended on it. because they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. Massimo Intravigne, founder of Center for Studies on New Religions.
Webinar. I will focus today on one part of our title referring to transitional justice, because not everybody can be familiar with what transitional justice is. It's actually the words transitional justice were created after the fall of the Soviet Union and its satellite states and the concomitant fall of some dictatorships in Latin America between the end of the 1980s and the beginning of the 1990s. But the substance of transitional justice existed before, and it actually came from the trials of war criminals and perpetrators of crimes against humanity in Nuremberg and in Tokyo after World War II. When transitional justice was defined mostly by American scholars, one important reference was a decision of 1988 by the Inter-American Court of Human Rights called Velázquez-Rodríguez versus Honduras. And it says that when you pass from non-democratic to a democratic regime, and the previous non-democratic regime has committed atrocities, you should do four things. First, you should make sure that no further human rights abuses are perpetrated. Second, you should ascertain and tell the truth to the citizens. Third, you should punish the perpetrators. And fourth, you should indemnify the victims. In 2001, the International Center for Transitional Justice was founded in New York by a white Methodist ordained elder from South Africa, Alex Boren, who had been very important in setting up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. And this organization has assisted many countries in devising plans for transitional justice, but it has also warned that transitional justice is very difficult. Because if you punish too much the perpetrators in the past regime, it looks like a vengeance or a vendetta, and you can create further social instability. But if you don't punish them at all, the victims will be upset, and that will not be good either. So the problem is always achieving an equilibrium, and we know this very well in Italy. Italy was different from Germany or Japan because Italy had a real civil war where freedom fighters called partisan fought against the fascist regime. So the Allied powers, while in Germany and in Japan, they set up trials against the perpetrators of crimes against humanity. In Italy, they decided they will not do this and let Italians to prosecute those guilty of crimes connected with the fascist regime. But what happened in practice is that Italian partisans and the first institution they created administered very swift justice after mock trial, sometime lasting just 5 minutes, and thousands were executed. Was still the largest military part of the partisan was communist. And the communists decided that Catholic priests and the rich, the bourgeoisie, were co-responsible for the crimes of fascists. So they started also killing Catholic priests and rich people, including some who were clearly innocent and had not committed any crime. So Italy risked a situation with this self-administration of transitional justice of perpetual civil war. And at this stage, a solution was found, and the solution which was found with the blessing of the United States and the Soviet Union was to appoint in June 1945 the General Secretary of the Italian Communist Party and perhaps the closest associate of Stalin in the international communist, called Palmiro Togliatti, as the new Minister of Justice in Italian government. And on June 22, 1946, Togliatti issued what was called the Togliatti Amnesty, which pardoned and made non-prosecutable all crimes committed for political reasons, both by fascists and freedom fighters, at any date before July 31st, 1945. Some especially atrocious crimes were excluded, but even for there, the penalties were greatly reduced and the death penalty was excluded. So the communist partisans were not happy to see the fascists go free, but they could not oppose something which had the name of Togliatti. And on the other hand, they also escaped prosecution for crimes they had committed during the Civil War. So today, the controversy is still going on. Some are very unhappy about the fact that thanks to the Togliatti amnesty, many who had committed serious crimes were never prosecuted, and others applaud Togliatti's wisdom in avoiding a civil war in Italy. Now, the Italian experience shows that it's very difficult, as I say, to reach an equilibrium between the need to achieve stability and reconciliation and the need to proclaim the truth and punish the perpetrators. Taiwan didn't go through a civil war to achieve its transition to democracy, but the number of crimes committed by the ruling party during the authoritarian and post-authoritarian period, including those connected with the so-called White Terror, was so high that demand for transitional justice by Taiwanese citizens was and remained a key feature of the political scene. It is easily forgotten that non-democratic regimes also commit crimes against form, freedom of religion or belief, and transitional justice is needed in this field too. Taiwan authoritarian regimes violated the religious liberty of various minorities, and such violations continued in the post-authoritarian phase, with the worst crackdown occurring in 1996 and targeting several groups, including Tai Ji Men. And as we all know, as a byproduct of the 1996 crackdown, an illegal tax prosecution against Tai Ji Men continued. So to complete Taiwan's transition to democracy, transitional justice should be rendered with respect to these crimes against form too. The current president of Taiwan, President Tsai, promised a serious and effective approach to transitional justice since her first election in 2016. And for the first time in Taiwan history, this became politically possible because the party who had been in power in the authoritarian and post-authoritarian period, the Kuomintang, lost both the presidents and the majority in the parliament. And in fact, under President Tsai, several laws promoting transitional justice were passed. While this is a good development, A problem with these laws is that they deal only with abuses committed until November 6, 1992, not later. The politically motivated crackdown on several religious minorities in 1996 and the persecution of Tai Ji Men, however, prove that serious human rights abuse continued even after 1992. So transitional justice and a full transition to democracy in Taiwan will only be achieved when post-1992 violations of human rights, including form, will also be investigated and rectified. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Intravigne. It is indeed difficult to find an equilibrium between persecuting those in the wrong versus revealing the truth, which is what makes transitional justice difficult to achieve. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Daniela Bovalenta, author of Bitter Winter magazine.
Thank you. The success of the International Day of Democracy proves that many in the world, at least verbally, profess their loyalty and enthusiasm for democratic values. Things, however, become less clear when we ask the question, what is democracy? Democracy is a Greek word that means government of the people. The Greeks distinguished between three possible forms of governments: monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy. They meant that there were three ways to decide who should rule a city or a state. First, a king, in some cases already in ancient times, even a queen, could rule simply because he or she was the closest descendant of the previous monarch. Second, a class of aristocrats, limited in number, may rule. Aristocracy as a system of government did not disappear with ancient times, and an example that lasted into the modern era is the Republic of Venice. Third, the rulers can be periodically elected by the citizens. This third system, democracy, was first developed in the city-state of Athens in the 6th century before the Christian era. It was something new, although only male citizens voted. Women and slaves did not vote, meaning that in practice the government of the city was elected by roughly 1/3 of those who lived there. In fact, women did not vote until the 19th and in many countries the 20th century, with the Grand Duchy of Tuscany in Italy being the first modern state allowing female citizens to participate in administrative election in 1849. This was no mean achievement, considering that, for example, in the United States, women won the right to vote only in 1920. The Catholic Church has been among the moral authorities which have insisted that no system to choose the rulers guarantees justice automatically. Although in recent times, it was also stated that democracy with universal suffrage may be the most effective model for modern societies characterized by a large degree of social, cultural, religious, and sometimes ethnic pluralism. However, both religious authorities and scholars agree that the election where all citizens are entitled to vote are not enough to call a country democratic. For example, North Korea's official name is the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, and its propaganda claims that it is the most democratic country in the world. Elections are regularly held, and the ruling party, formerly a coalition of parties, used to gather 99% of the votes. Until in 2017, it decided this was not good enough and reached 100% of the votes. Also, North Korean elections have the record number of voters in the world, 99.9%, which is not surprising considering that those who don't vote are arrested and may even be executed. Few people would accept that this is a real democracy. In fact, scholars believe that a country becomes democratic at the time of its third transition in power from one party to another. In Taiwan, this third transition happened in 2016, although the martial law had been abrogated in 1987, making the period between 1987 and 2016 a transitional one. However, the Tai Ji Men case in Taiwan is a good mirror where we can look at democracy and see that even a rotation between parties are not enough to find in a country a full-blown democracy. Scholars know that democracy requires a separation of powers, not only in the constitution, but in practice. The Tai Ji Men case and other cases of tax injustice proved that in Taiwan, neither the legislative power nor the judiciary power really controls the branch of the executive power dealing with taxes. The parliament told many times the National Taxation Bureau, NTB, that it should solve the Tai Ji Men case by acknowledging that Tai Ji Men was not guilty of tax evasion, and that the gifts given by the dizi disciples to the Shifu master were not taxable. The National Taxation Bureau ignored the parliament. Courts of law told several times the National Taxation Bureau that the tax bills issued against Tai Ji Men came from faulty criminal charges, of which Dr. Hong and his co-defendants were innocent and should be withdrawn. The judiciary power was ignored too. This demonstrates that in Taiwan, something is still wrong with the separation of powers and as a consequence with democracy. I am not arguing this is a problem in Taiwan only. Taxes are an extremely complicated matter. Even courts of law may not totally understand them, and the tax administration is based, again, not only in Taiwan, on explanatory letters and administrative orders on which the parliaments have little or no control. However, when, as it happened in the Tai Ji Men case, the parliaments and the judiciary are unable to control the tax administration, another essential feature of democracy is compromised, its ability to protect the citizens' human rights. For this reason, the International Day of Democracy offers to all of us a worthy opportunity to honor the fight of Tai Ji Men. They fight for all of us. In the words of the 17th century British poet John Donne, which many known because they were quoted by American novelist Ernest Hemingway, any injustice is a bell that rings, whose song we should learn to listen to. Therefore, Donne wrote, "Never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bovalenta. As we have mentioned previously, the Tai Ji Men tax case, or the Tai Ji Men case, is a case with no due process and no rule of law. Though the Taiwanese Supreme Court has declared Tai Ji Men as innocent, the tax bills continue. This next video highlights the violation of due process of the Tai Ji Men case.
The tax bills in violation of due process have been invalid from the very beginning. The Tai Ji Men tax case originated from the unlawful indictment of prosecutor Guan Renhou, who transferred the case to the National Taxation Bureau, NTB, for taxation. The NTB knew that in the indictment of the prosecutor claimed the money in question was proceeds of fraud, but he also claimed the same money as tuition income from a Korean school. His claims were clearly contradictory. The NTB issued the tax bills before the criminal court determined the nature of the income. The NTB imposed taxes and heavy penalties simply based on their indictment without fulfilling its duty to investigate the matter. This seriously violated due process of law.
Did the NTB complete its investigation? The criminal case was still ongoing, and the NTB had already sent out the tax bills. That violated due process. The dispositions in violation of due process were unlawful.
I've studied the Tai Ji Men tax case for close to 2 years. I've written an article about the Tai Ji Men tax case. I don't think I've seen more abuse of the right of due process in any situation than I have seen in the Tai Ji Men tax case. It is not due process for the Ministry of Education to determine that Tai Ji Men is not a cram school, and for prosecutors and tax authorities to disregard that determination. It is not due process for the NTB to issue tax bills and to continue to issue tax bills based on allegations of an indictment that have been thrown out in 3 separate criminal trials. It is not due process to have the interagency group get together from all of the different departments of Taiwan to finally address the persecution of Tai Ji Men and agree on a process for doing that through a survey and then falsify the results of that survey. That is not due process. And it is not due process for the Taipei High Administrative Court and the Supreme Administrative Court to rule in favor in Tai Ji Men and then do what? Send it back to the same individuals and authority that issued the tax bills in the first place and collected bonuses for those tax bills. It is not due process to be caught on this treadmill of remand by the administrative courts back to the Ministry of Finance and back again, and this never-ending treadmill where individuals at the ministry or any other tax officials can reissue the same bills time and time again, and causing taxpayers time, money, and concern for decades. I think that a 20-year ordeal is a violation of human rights. Justice delayed is justice denied. And to delay justice for 20 years and to still not have it, as we're sitting here today, is, in my mind, a denial of justice. And the thing that perplexes and even disturbs me is the fact that that justice has been denied and delayed by just a few individuals. It is appalling to me that those few individuals could hijack an entire government.
On July 13, 2007, the Criminal Division of the Supreme Court found Dr. Hong and his co-defendants not guilty of fraud, tax evasion, or violation of the Tax Collection Act. The Supreme Court also determined that the red envelopes to Dr. Hong were gifts from dizi and were tax-free income under Article 4, subparagraph 17 of the Income Tax Act. The group procurement of uniforms and other items through mutual assistance among the dizi was not for profit sale and hence not a taxable event.
When deciding the first trial of the Tai Ji Men case, I emphasized respect of human dignity, freedom of religion or belief, and freedom of thought. I think these values should be honored in tax law as well. The first, second, and third trials all rule the nature of the money in question as gifts. Then it should not be a tax as tuition for a cram school.
Because he thinks this is a respect for the master. It is a kind of gift. After the third instance of our court, we discussed in detail where the indictment is unacceptable. If the tax authority uses this indictment as the basis for taxation, I think it is questionable.
According to the decision issued by the Criminal Court of the Judicial System, the nature of the red envelopes given to the Shifu was determined to be gifts rather than income. Therefore, there is no income tax issue. The administrative agency has no reason to not evaluate the facts determined in a criminal decision.
You can go to the Control Yuan's website and see that I have listed 7 corrections with respect to the NTB's handling of the Tai Ji Men case. For each, the Tax Bureau's response was, "Oh, we made a mistake. I told the finance minister in 2011, I believe this case should be closed."
The Tai Ji Men case of injustice was instigated by the prosecutor's office to divert the public's attention from 2 unsolved political murder cases. In the Tai Ji Men case, the charges of fraud and tax evasion were contradictory to each other. The defendants were found not guilty of fraud, tax evasion, or violation of the Tax Collection Act by the Supreme Court, and the state compensation for unjust detention was awarded. In 2007, the third instance court decision concluded that the red envelopes given by the dizi to Dr. Hong were gifts and thus tax-free under Article 4, subparagraph 17 of the Income Tax Act. It was all clearly stated, but the NTB taxed Tai Ji Men as a crime school and imposed taxes on the tax-free income. The NTB clearly violated the tax law. According to our tax law, gift tax is paid by the person given the gift, not by the recipient. The subject and object of taxation and the applicable law were all wrong. The original judgment on a criminal case must be annulled when it involves these kinds of errors. The administrative sanctions must be revoked, as they should not have existed.
The NTB taxed the tax-free gifts as Dr. Hong's income. The NTB also levied sales tax on Dr. and Mrs. Hong for the group procurement among the dizi, which was not for profit sale and had nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Hong. The NTB has imposed taxes on the wrong party and on non-taxable events. Its tax dispositions involve an error of fact and an error of law. Therefore, the tax bills have been invalid from the very beginning.
As shown in the video, many experts have come out saying that the Taiwanese government has violated due process and that the basis of what this case has been fabricated on has already been proven as innocent. Next, I would like to introduce our first panelist today, Mr. Andy Wang.
Hello, everyone. I'm a Tai Ji Men dizi of the LA Academy. I retired from the VP position of an international enterprise 6 years ago, and have been following my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, in volunteering in doing good deeds and the righteous things. In the morning of September 11, 2001, I was on the way to the LA airport to catch a flight to Chicago. The plan was to join my US colleagues to attend the most important trade show of the industry. The radio was broadcasting the horrible news while I was on the highway that an aircraft was hijacked and hit the World Trade Center buildings. And there may still be a few more in the sky. Upon my arrival at the airport, the police immediately approached me. "Sir, please get back in the car. The airport is closed, and all flights have been canceled." I had no choice but to go home. However, I couldn't help but start to worry about the Shifu and my sisters and brothers who were right there in New York City at that moment. 20 years ago, due to work, I missed the opportunity of following Shifu to New York. 20 years later, today, on September 11, more than 30 fellow brothers and sisters from across the states, including myself, flew to New York City and walked for 10 hours in the footsteps of Shifu's 20 years ago, mimicking Shifu's love for the world, bearing love and peace in our heart, hoping to bring a world full of love and peace for all. On this day, in New York City, tracking the pace that Shifu and the fellow brothers and sisters took 20 years ago, imagining the difficulties that Shifu, fellow brothers and sisters must have faced during the tragic incident, we deeply honor Dr. Hong's determination of leading his deeds to do the good deeds by holding the bell ringing ceremony and the prayers right in the center of New York City. The ceremony was for all souls in between heaven and earth, to console the survived and to pray for deceased to rest in peace. Brothers, sisters, and I were all deeply touched by such a noble act. On January 6, 1996, at the age 45 and a half, I took my 5.5-year-old asthmatic son, Jason, to Tai Ji Men and humbly requested Dr. Hong Dao's to accept us as his deeds. We have been learning Tai Ji Men Qigong from Shifu since then. Tai Ji Men Qigong is really great. My dear son put asthma behind him soon after he started the practice, and I was cured of intervertebral disc herniation that had bothered me for 6 years without medication. Shifu also taught me to go off negative thought, improve my temper, be willing to share good changes with others, and help others. All this turned my life around for good. Seeing all the good changes in me, my family, and many colleagues also joined Tai Ji Men. But on December 19 of 1996, Tai Ji Men was falsely tied with a fabricated tax case that shook entire Taiwan. In 2002, the State Control Yuan issued the investigation report on Hou Kuan-ren's handling Tai Ji Men case and passed the case to Minister of Justice for disciplinary action. In total, 8 major misconducts highlighted in the report, including that indictment was inconsistent with the evidence materials and that such prosecution based on the indictment was unconforming the law of evidence. From here, we can clearly know that Tai Ji Men case was conjured from the thin air. However, over the past 25 years, neither of the 4 Taiwan presidents show determination to uphold justice and redress the false case, even though all 4 of them acclaimed Tai Ji Men over and over. I have stepped into old age after 25 years, which is exactly how long this bogus case was lasted. It is very saddening and miraculous. This case has become the focus of international experts and scholars in the field of law, taxation, human rights, religious freedom, and political justice. What is surprising is that Taiwanese has been known as a country of democracy and freedom, and yet has persecuted Tai Ji Men that represent the essence of Chinese culture and the spiritual cultivation for 25 years. The Taiwanese government, especially the president, should side with its kind heart and honest people and safeguard justice, democracy, and the rule of law, and immediately right the wrong. The few bureaucrats who have been manipulating the government system should not be allowed to mess with Taiwanese democracy, rule of law, and human rights anymore. Taiwanese people and our international allies deserve justice. I was 46 years old 25 years ago. Will the justice be delayed for another 25 years? I would be 96 in 25 years, and I don't know if I can live to be 96 to see justice. I'm calling on the international justice forces to awake the conscience of the Taiwanese government and the president to right the wrong, return Tai Ji Men's secret land, and hold these illegal officials accountable to show the world democracy and the rule of law in Taiwan. Entering the twilight years of my life, I will continue to work with all my fellow brothers, sisters, and all international allies to advocate for Tai Ji Men justice. Thank you to all friends who are proactive on human rights and the justice for all over the world. Let's work together to address justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. Justice has been delayed for way too long. 25 years is too long of a time to hold up a fabricated case. Our next speaker is going to be Miss Annie Su. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I am Annie. Very happy to be able to attend today's event. I became a Tai Ji Men dizi in 2004 because I thought this was a great place to be. So I recommended my family to join. Joining Tai Ji Men is like a treasure. Under Shifu's guidance, I found my way of life. I also found my own of self-value. Since establishment in 1996, Tai Ji Men Qigong Academy has been practiced Qi to cultivate the mind, strengthen the body, promote Chinese culture, as well as physical and mental health. With over 100 countries traveled thus far, Shifu and Dizi are committed to spreading the culture of love, peace, and conscience around the world. It has been 25 years since the Tai Ji Men tax case occurred. Over the past 25 years, Tai Ji Men has gone through ups and downs. Time and time again, we have put tremendous amounts of effort, but we have not received any positive reinforcements from the government. As an overseas dizi, I have many thoughts about this. I joined Tai Ji Men in the Northern California branch in the summer of 2004 to practice Qigong. Although I did not personally experience the unjust tax case in 1996, I have seen my Shifu brothers and sisters face authorities and difficulties for so many years. So many brothers and sisters are no longer in this world, but they weren't even able to see the day that the case be retracted and our innocence be proven. The younger brothers and sisters who were still children that year have grown up right now, and they still continue to shoulder the responsibilities and continue to work hard to defend their homes and nations. How many people have the time and the youth to wait for fairness and justice for 25 years? How many people have the patience and willpower to wait for this long? From 2004, I have practiced Qigong at Tai Ji Men with my Shifu. He is someone who teaches us both by example and by words of wisdom. Although the government has not yet returned him and Tai Ji Men to justice, in the past 20 years or so, he has continued to love the world and its citizens. He continues to bring brothers and sisters to travel the world to spread the idea of love and peace. He has also brought brothers and sisters into the United Nations, working hard for the welfare of all mankind. Such a good group of people, and yet we still can see the day that the Taiwan government returns us justice. This is really hard to understand. After joining Tai Ji Men, besides my body become healthier and my complexion becoming better, the most unexpected result has been that my nervous personality has been greatly relieved. So I started recommending my family, friends, and relatives to practice Qigong at Tai Ji Men, but frustrations began to arise. Because of the Tai Ji Men tax case, Prosecutor Hou Kuan-ren's false accusations and rumors of raising a goblin have been spread to the United States. Many friends began to drift away from me and gradually stop interacting with me. They even misunderstood that Tai Ji Men is a cult group. A false accusation has harmed so many innocent people, even those who live overseas. During 9/11 of this year, we went to New York to mourn those who lost their lives during the tragic event. We also hope to speak out for human rights. I believe that everyone should be able to have their basic human rights respected. Throughout his whole life, Mao Shifu has preached the idea of love and peace around the world. Along the way, he has made many global leaders. Mao Shifu hopes that the ideas of love and peace will become embedded into everyone's hearts. He also hopes that there will be no war and no pain. I hope that our country can see that the Tai Ji Men tax case needs to be resolved. I hope that the next generation of humans can live in equality and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Su. Our next speaker is going to be Mr. Alan Liu. Welcome.
All right, yeah, thanks, Andrea. So I'd like to share some of my personal thoughts on the transitional justice and some of its application in our Tai Ji Men case. So transitional justice mechanism usually consists of three major parts: the prosecution, initiatives, reparations, and institutional reforms. And from the aspect of justice, we kind of expect to prosecute, to punish the criminals, or at least like in South Africa, to form a truth commission discovering and revealing the past wrongdoing of the government and let the victim know the truth about what actually happened. But in practice, there are so many hurdles to prosecute the criminals or even just to seek the truth. And the reasons are, first, the criminal may still work in the government. Like the prosecutor Hou Kuan-ren of the Tai Ji Men case, now he's the Vice Director General of the Agency Against Corruption, Ministry of Justice. Yeah, so from the government's perspective, to prosecute the current public servant is just equivalent to admitting its mistakes. And the second reason is it's sometimes it's hard to decide whether to punish just the superior or also the middle agents. So like in our Tai Ji Men case, despite the prosecutor Hou Kuan-ren, the tax officer Shi Yuesheng, who has admitted that he gave a false testimony under the pressure from prosecutor Hou, or the National Taxation Bureau, which imposes taxes without investigation, or even the media, they are all kind of like the part of this commission of crime. Yeah, so obviously under the current institution, we cannot convict everyone. And the truth is, back in the 90s, being obedient was kind of the way the government agent the agents protected themselves under that political situation. Now, so prosecuting the criminals may fit our anticipation for justice, but it involves too many people, and it could even question the legitimacy of the current governance. And so it is very common for the attempt of transitional justice to get stuck just at this first step. But on the contrary, giving reparation to victims is much less controversial. So like in Taiwan, the Memorial Foundation of the 228th incident identifies the victims and their loss during the February 28th incident, and it gives reparation. Another example is, after the third trial of the Tai Ji Men case, all the victims got the compensations for the wrongful convictions. We know it's not ideal. It's not an ideal world that the people pay for the government's mistakes, but it is a compromise in the process of transitional justice. Okay, and the other thing is preventing similar incidents in the future is also crucial. We already have democracy in Taiwan while using taxes as a means to persecute religious groups is still very common in the world. So reforming the institutes to avoid government from abusing its power is just as urgent in the process of transitional justice. Yeah, so the former president of Poland, the Lech Walesa, has stated in a personal meeting that we should focus more on giving reparation to victims, and secondly, on reforming the institute. So strategically speaking, this is an efficient way of preventing transitional justice from getting stuck in the first place. And in our example, after handling the Tai Ji Men case, the prosecutor Ho has been outlined with 8 major violations of the law by the Control Yuan. This is a breakthrough of the transitional justice. However, prosecutor Ho does not receive any single punishment. And as we mentioned before, he has even been promoted as the Vice Director General. So it's obvious that the government is making itself contradictory. So based on Walesa's theory, rectifying the current mistakes, returning the illegally confiscated land of Tai Ji Men, giving reparation, and initiating a thorough institutional reform that prevents like National Taxation Bureau abusing its power are the most efficient ways of revealing the justice. Right, so to summarize, in order to prevent religious persecution from happening again, we should focus on like education on human rights, on respecting the people, and following the rule of law. So only with the respect of the rule of law can the law make itself manifest. And finally, we persecute the criminals. And also, I'd like to mention that during the process of transitional justice, the victims sometimes make their contribution by sacrificing themselves to draw the attention from the public and make improvements to our democratic society. So, the purpose of this transitional justice is to stop violating human rights and fundamentally solve the human rights problem. And prevention of the future human rights violation incident is also an urgent issue. However, only by purging and sweeping the corruption can bring us a new institute, and only that can make Taiwan a place of rule of law, a real democratic country. Yep, that's my sharing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. I agree that transitional justice is difficult to achieve, especially that this case has been going on for 25 years, but it's definitely really important to reform the institution and focus on the fundamental issues that caused this entire case to occur. This way, it would make Taiwan a better democratic country. Next, I would like to welcome Ms. Halopi Xu. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Halopi. It's great to see you. At the beginning, I would like to use the famous quote from the genius theoretical physicist Einstein. He said, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything." So today, on this forum, I'm going to share my feeling as Tai Ji Men dizi, how we've been oppressed by the government for 25 years, and how I have converted my sadness and anger into strength to safeguard the justice and human rights with love and peace. I remember when I was a kid, I was a lone wolf. I didn't like to talk to or mingle with people, and I felt alone is quite good to me. Inward-looking character makes me unhappy, unconfident, and finally I end up with no idea how to get along with people. I remember that when my mom passed away by accident on my second year of high school, I was so shocked and unable to accept the fact that my mother had left. This experience in my youth had huge impact on my personality. I had stubborn mood disorders and depression. After being Tai Ji Men dizi and learning from our Shifu, Dr. Hong, I realized that I'm capable to face and solve my problems. I have also learned how to change my thoughts in a positive way. I have become a more happier person now. In these 20 years of practicing Qigong, I really appreciate my Shifu, who taught me how to be a better person with his words, his self-examples, and his unspoken education. My Shifu has spent his whole life to promote the culture of love and peace of Tai Ji Men around the world, and also spread kindness to help the world through international cultural exchanges. The most important thing is that Shifu educates all Tai Ji Men did to have conscience until the end of life. However, Tai Ji Men case happened in 1996. Until now, it's been 25 years. This case is still not being rejected. 14 years ago, on July 13, 2007, the Criminal Division of the Supreme Court of Taiwan ruled Tai Ji Men not guilty of fraud, tax evasion, or violation of tax codes, and the monetary gifts or tax-free income. As for the collective procurement of items, such as the uniforms for practicing Qigong, was the not-profit sale. In 2009, all the defendants in this case were awarded national compensation for unlawful imprisonment. Since the Tai Ji Men test case was derived from a criminal case, the Ministry of Education of Taiwan, which has declared 3 times that Tai Ji Men is not a crime school, and the National Tax Bureau recognized Tai Ji Men is not a crime school as well. Therefore, Tai Ji Men has never had any tax issues. However, the National Tax Bureau apparently violated the rule of evidence and ignored every factual evidence. Until now, the tax authorities still use illegal tax assessments to oppress Tai Ji Men, Shifu, and dizi. As we know, human rights are universal rights and natural gifts that can be taken away. We all know every person is equal before the law. When the law cannot serve justice, we choose to speak out on the streets, petition the government to solve Tai Ji Men case, and even sleep on the Cantergallen billboard to awaken officials' conscience. Since the inception of tax reform initiative in 2010, for past 10 years, we have been fighting for fair, justice, freedom of belief, and human rights in every activity. The sacred land which Shifu prepared for this gathering was illegally auctioned off by the National Tax Bureau and Administration Enforcement Office Hsinchu branch in July 2020. When I knew this news, I was so mad. I applied for annual leave just to go to Taipei Administrative Enforcement Agency and fight for justice. No matter the weather was hot or raining, I shouted out loudly with the organizer and told our grievance of unfair oppression. Even elder grandmothers and grandfathers stood beside me. They also came to fight for justice to protect our land, protect our Shifu, and protect our Shimu. On July 31st, when the first auction declared that was unsuccessful, we knew we couldn't be relaxed. On the second auction, I was with thousands of Tai Ji Men sisters and brothers at the auction site to protect our sacred land. When we knew the action once again ended in failure, we all cried. We cried because our second land that we had defended with our lives was forcibly nationalized by government agencies using such cruel and illegal methods. However, I think it is really unbelievable, and I can't accept the fact that we are bullied directly by government authorities. It completely destroys the entire constitutional system of Taiwan. My Shifu has spent his whole life protecting Tai Ji Men, defending truth, and advocating justice. He gives all his love to deeds, but those government officials doing our home with no conscience and deprived of our basic rights of freedom of belief. Tai Ji Men has visited over 300 cities in more than 100 countries, devoting more than 2 billion man-hours in cultural performance around the world to promote international friendship and spread the beauty of the Chinese culture across the world. We no doubt that we are cultural diplomatic envoy of Taiwan. We are self-sponsored and have never accepted any external donations. I attended World Leaders Summit of Love and Peace with my Shifu in Korea and New York. When world leaders are making a wish for world and ringing the bell of world peace and love, I was so moved because that song of bell spreads positive energy all over the world. However, during 25 years, our government chose silent violence to ignore those illegal officials who abuse public power to oppress people. In fact, Tai Ji Men case is easy to solve as long as tax authorities admit their mistakes, revoke illegal tax bills in accordance with Article 117 of the Administrative Procedure Law, and return illegally auctioned lands to data home. Finally, I would like to use the quote of Sam Brownback, the chairman of 2021 World Religious Freedom Summit, in my conclusion. He stated that we believe government's role is to protect that innate right of a person to select their own course of future for their soul. So I hope these illegal officials who abuse public power can find and gain back their own conscience and not be ashamed of their souls. I also call on government to revoke Tai Ji Men illegal tax right away, so to protect Taiwan's democracy, rule of law, human rights, and justice. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Ms. Xu. I really liked how you pointed out the unspoken lessons that Shifu teaches us from the Tai Ji Men case. We have learned through the actions of Shifu and brothers and sisters that it is important to fight for what is right and to be persistent in our fight. Next, I would like to welcome Ms. Vivian Chang.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'm honored to participate in today's online forum. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share with you the idea of love and peace. My name is Vivian Chen. I have been in the United States for 24 years. I currently live in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I'm a Tai Ji Men dizi, and I have been a member of the Tai Ji Men Qigong Academy for almost 25 years. My mother, brother, sisters, and niece who are in Taiwan are all Tai Ji Men dizi. And in the United States, my husband and my 2 sons are also Tai Ji Men dizi. My whole family can practice together, learn the wisdom of Tai Chi, yin and yang philosophy from Shifu, and learn to balance the body, mind, and spirit. Even though we do not have a Tai Ji Men Academy on the East Coast, Shifu teaches his dizi the Kung Fu of the heart and to feel with the heart. He teaches us to tell good from bad, true from false, and right from wrong. And he reminds us to act with conscience. I have applied the yin and yang philosophy and wisdom that I learned in Tai Ji Men to my family and and work. And I have a very happy family and a happy life. I'm very grateful to my Shifu and to Tai Ji Men, and I also cherish my relationship with him. My Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, had led his deeds around the world on 5 continents, doing goodwill culture exchanges and sharing love and peace. 20 years ago, on 9/11, Shifu and his deeds were in New York City to attend the annual UN NGO Assembly. But on that day, the World Trade Center building were attacked. Shifu immediately led his deeds to hold the ceremony of ringing the bell of world peace and love on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network TV in New York, praying for the souls of the departed to rest in peace, as well as praying for the living to be comforted. May the world be at ease. I was in DC that day, and the Pentagon was also attacked. The Pentagon station was the subway station I took every day because I worked late the night before. I expected to enter the office around 10 a.m., but I was awakened early in the morning by the sound of a phone call from my colleague, who hurriedly asked me if I was okay. I was told to turn on the TV. We were all very worried and scared. As you can imagine, in New York, people's hearts must have been filled with anxiety and fear. My Shifu once said, a thought of good and a thought of evil are intertwined and have far-reaching efforts. And conscience is like a compass, directing everyone to do the right path and leading everyone to make the correct decisions bravely. On the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this year, a group of Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters and I went to New York to commemorate this important day, to send love and peace. We sang the song of love and peace. When it came to the part, keep going my pals, keep going my friends, tears were in my eyes. During these 20 years, Shifu has continued to lead his deeds across 5 continents, sending love and peace to the people in the world, calling on everyone to awaken their conscience and reduce conflicts in the world with conscience and love. It has been 20 years since 9/11, but the Tai Ji Men case has been going on for 25 years. It still has not been resolved. In 1996 in Taiwan, a prosecutor and a few corrupt tax officers tried to destroy Tai Ji Men by creating a fake case. The prosecutor at that time, Ho Kwan-ren, claimed that Tai Ji Men was raising goblins without any evidence, which was ridiculous. Professor Kenneth Jacobson, a practice professor of law at Temple University in Philadelphia and the former advisor to US President Bill Clinton, has studied the Tai Ji Men case for years, saying, I don't think I've seen more abuse of the right of due process in any situation as I have seen in the Tai Ji Men tax case. It is not due process to accuse a human being in a civilized society of raising goblins. The mere statement of that would cause individuals and should cause individuals to question the sanity of the prosecutor. And in any court of law, such an absurd allegation would be thrown out. On July 13, 2007, the Criminal Division of Supreme Court of Taiwan ruled that Tai Ji Men was not guilty of any crime and that it did not owe taxes. However, the National Tax Bureau ignored the court's ruling and continued to issue illegal tax bill to Tai Ji Men and prohibited my Shifu and his wife from touching their property for more than 20 years. What is even more absurd is that last August 21st, 2020, the land designated for Tai Ji Men's practice was illegally auctioned off, which failed twice and was then taken into state ownership in total violation of the law and of human rights. The court was ruled in favor of Tai Ji Men. The Control Yuan investigated the case of Tai Ji Men as an unjust case, and more than 300 members of the Legislative Yuan have asked questions and held public hearings on the case. But Tai Ji Men case has been going on for 25 years now and has still not been resolved. This makes people wonder what has gone wrong with the rule of law in Taiwan. On 9/11 of this year, we also held a protest in front of Times Square. We love Taiwan and hope for the future development and progress of our country. And we hope that Taiwan government will act with conscience and return the pure reputation of Tai Ji Men, revoke the illegal tax bill, and return the sacred land of Tai Ji Men. We also hope that the international community will help the Taiwan government face up to the Tai Ji Men case and not be held captive by a few corrupt officials, and expedite the revocation of the illegal tax bill so that Tai Ji Men's nearly 25-year-long tax injustice can be ended soon. I hope that the Taiwan government will protect human rights and act with conscience. As Dr. Hong Daozi's maxims of conscience say, love is possible through conscience, human rights are possible through love, peace is possible through human rights. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Chang. I was also in New York on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and at Ground Zero, the air was filled with a sense of grief and sadness. And as we move forward and continue to remember those who were lost on that day, it is so important to remember to choose peace over violence every day. Next, I would like to welcome Ms. Xuanzhi Huang. Welcome.
Thank you, Andra. Hello, everyone. I'm currently a school nurse at a university in Taiwan. I'm also a Tai Ji Men dizi. First, I want to share some of my experience at my work. To be a school nurse, in addition to general health care, I'm also responsible for dengue fever prevention. When there is a person who reports mosquito anywhere in the campus, I need to investigate and find out the source of breeding to avoid the infection by mosquitoes across the campus. Once upon a time, there was an office and classroom in the campus where collected so many mosquitoes. In the period of 2 to 3 weeks, the dead mosquitoes peeled up 1 to 2 centimeters in the corner. However, the breeding source had not been identified. For a long period of time, we got a complaint from students almost every week. My superior said that what we can do is to sanitize and clean the area regularly, nothing more, as we cannot solve the problem. I used to think the same way. I had tried, but I could not solve the issue. Then, just let go. However, my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, the Zhangmenren of Tai Ji Men, insisted not paying any illegal tax, even just a penny, when facing the oppression and unlawful taxation for 25 years. I witnessed his determination and realized that I should learn from him, insist on doing the right things. I should find out the root cause of the problem in order to solve it completely. From then on, I continued the task of looking for breeding salts on a frequency of twice a week. Finally, I discovered the breeding sauce was in the water tank and got rid of the long-standing problem in that area once and for all. Instead of doing the right things is the approach my Shifu told me how to face any difficulties. My Shifu devoted his whole life and applied his experience of vindicating the tax injustice of Tai Ji Men to educate dizi, and even everyone in the world to tell good from bad, true from false, and right from wrong. I think everyone would be unhappy and not willing to accept illegal taxation. However, it is hard to imagine that the vast majority of Taiwanese choose to appease, negotiate, and pay something under compromise. This is the reason why illegal taxation is becoming more and more rampant in Taiwan. The economy in Taiwan is not good, and people work hard to earn money. The basic pay of university graduate in Taiwan remains almost the same as 20 years ago, while the price is more than double as before. 20 years ago, the basic pay in Singapore was similar as Taiwan's. But now it is nearly 4 times than Taiwan's. Therefore, the general public thinks that instead of spending time and energy fighting with the NTB, it is easier to negotiate and pay money, and then spend time on earning.
Ms. Huang's internet seems to have cut out, but I think I would like to thank Ms. Huang and re-emphasize that it is really important to do the right thing. Next, we would like to move on to Dr. Xiangren Chao. Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Gary. I'm a resident working at hospital. I'm glad to be invited to participate in this online forum. I want to share with you about the importance of wound care. Actually, if we ignore and don't take care of small wounds carefully, the bacteria may spread into the tissue under the wound and lead to severe infection, even causing death. From the first small beginnings, one can see how things will develop, like small wounds. Neglecting public discontent and grievance will also lead to bad consequences. Take Tai Ji Men tax case for example. It is like a wound that was neglected by Taiwanese government. I really highly suspect Taiwanese government ignoring the suggestions of experts purposely. Wang Jian'an, partner lawyer of Eternity Law Firm, pointed out so many times that Tai Ji Men tax case is not the only one. It revealed many unfairness and injustice of our government's tax system. The revision of this case is very meaningful to whole tax environment. Tai Ji Men's old friend, president of the Association of World Citizens, Rene Wadlow said, many non-government organization consultants concern Tai Ji Men tax case very much. There are 2 aspects of this case. The first one is to protect the freedom of religion. The second one is fairness and transparency of tax system process. Tai Ji Men has been dedicating to cultural exchange with other countries so that many people understand Taiwanese cultural heritage. The core of this case is very apparent. Taiwanese government should solve this case as soon as possible. I am proud of being a Tai Ji Men dizi. I have many opportunities to spread love and peace over the world by the cultural exchange under the guidance of Dr. Hong. Besides, Tai Ji Men plays an important role in prevention during COVID-19 pandemic. As a doctor, I also benefit from it. When I first learned that I would be caring for COVID-19 patients in May, I was afraid that I would contract the coronavirus disease and spread to my family and friends. But then I remembered the 3 don'ts from the Tai Ji Men Prevention Manual. Don't be angry, don't be worried, and don't be nervous. Negative thoughts don't help with disease prevention and treatment. Actually, the infection risk is really low if I wear personal protective equipment properly. And it turns out I didn't get COVID. However, Tai Ji Men is persecuted by Ministry of Finance, Tax Bureau, and Administrative Enforcement Agency. They are destroying Taiwanese human rights just like bacteria little by little. Tax Bureau taxed Tai Ji Men according to prosecutor Hou Kuan-ren's indictment, which was abandoned by the court. Tax Bureau also neglected the fact that Ministry of Education claims Tai Ji Men was not a cram school. The public inquiry results of the Executive Yuan's interministerial meeting on December 9, 2011 were skewed. The Tax Bureau finally recognized that Tai Ji Men was not a tutorial class, but it proceeded to impose taxes, despite the fact that all 7,401 letters of reply showed that the red envelope that dizi give to Shifu is gift, not tuition. Finally, IRS of Taiwan admitted that Tai Ji Men is not a cram school. However, so far, tax administration has been still reissuing new tax bills. In 2019, Tax Bureau corrected the tax bills of 1991 and 1993 to 1996 to 0, except unlawful tax bill, which has similar properties in 1992. Moreover, there are more and more evidence proving that the judgment about tax bill in 1992 was wrong. It was an illegal tax bill. I have an example to explain what Tax Bureau and Administrative Enforcement Agency are doing. About 50 years ago, there was a famous event of adverse drug reaction. The drug was called thalidomide. It can be used to treat morning sickness during pregnancy. It was very popular and used worldwide at that time. However, clinical observations revealed there was an increasing proportion of deformity. Finally, in 1961, the drug was proved to have negative influence on fetal development. If you or your family has morning sickness during pregnancy, do you want your doctor to prescribe this drug? I think the answer is apparent because the new evidence proves thalidomide is harmful. The doctor must stop using this drug as a treatment. Otherwise, it will cause more fetuses to become deformed. On the contrary, if the Tax Bureau doesn't immediately withdraw the problematic tax bills and the government agencies do not immediately correct the wrong system, I'm worried the country's development will face a significant issue. Many Tai Ji Men dizi and people concerned about this issue have protested in front of the Administrative Enforcement Agency and the National Tax Bureau since July 2010, and have even appealed their grievance to the President of the Executive Yuan, the President of the Supervisory Yuan, and the members of the Legislative Yuan, but no response has been given. Like a wound that has been neglected and allowed to expand on its own, even sprinkling salt on it. Furthermore, in its judgment number 422 of the year 2018, the Supreme Administrative Court stated that the 1992 tax case had severe faults in its adjudication, despite the fact that the Administrative Enforcement Agency knew there were uncertainties about the judgment and that the law provided the right to cease the enforcement. It continued to do the wrong thing. Is it because they could get bonus from it? What concerns me the most is that if the government can bully a public cultural practice group of over 10,000 people like Tai Ji Men, it's difficult to imagine how many more hopeless cases of persecution that we don't know, just like the injured tissues beneath the wounds. With their blood and tears, Tai Ji Men informs all of Taiwanese citizens and the president that human rights in Taiwan are sick. And today, I also stand up and speak out. We need the essential people to come out and offer appropriate handling, as well as everyone's concern, so that this wound does not fester and worsen, resulting in an irreversible catastrophe for the social country. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Dr. Chow. So earlier, Ms. Huang's video cut out, and so I would like to reintroduce her and for her to start from the beginning again. Ms. Huang?
Thank you, Andra. Hello, everyone. Did you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm currently a school nurse at a university in Taiwan. I'm also a Tai Ji Men dizi. First, I want to share some experience at my work. To be a school nurse, in addition to general health care, I'm also responsible for dengue fever prevention. When there is a person who reported mosquitoes anywhere in the campus, I need to investigate and find out the source of breeding to avoid infection by mosquito across the campus. Once upon a time, there was an office and classroom in the campus where left so many mosquitoes. In a period of 2 to 3 weeks, the dead mosquitoes built up 1 to 2 centimeters in the corner. However, the breeding source had not been identified. For a long period of time, we got a complaint from students almost every week. My clean the area regularly. Nothing more, as we cannot solve the problem. I used to think that way. I had tried, but I could not solve the issue. Then, just a day ago. However, my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, the Zhangmenren of Tai Ji Men, insists on not paying any illegal tax, even just a penny, when facing the oppression and unlawful taxation for 24 years. I witnessed his determination and realized that I should learn from him, insisted on doing the right things. I should find the root cause of the problem in order to solve it completely. From then on, I continued the task of looking for breeding source on frequency of twice a week. Finally, I discovered the breeding source was in the water tank and got rid of the long-standing problem in that area once and for all. Instead, doing the right things is the approach my Shifu told me how to face any difficulties. My Shifu devoted his whole life and applied his experience of vindicating the tax injustice of Tai Ji Men to educate dizi and even everyone in the world to tell good from bad, true from false, and right from wrong. I think everyone would be unhappy and not willing to accept illegal taxation. However, it's hard to imagine that. The vast majority of Taiwanese choose to appease, negotiate, and pay something under compromise. This is the reason why illegal taxation is becoming more and more rampant in Taiwan. The economy in Taiwan is not good, and people work hard to earn money. The basic pay of university graduate in Taiwan remains almost the same as 20 years ago, while the price is more than double as before. 20 years ago, the basic pay in Singapore was similar as Taiwan's, but now it is nearly 4 times higher than Taiwan's. Therefore, the general public thinks that instead of spending time and energy fighting with the NTB, it is easier to negotiate and pay money and then spend time on earning money. Not to mention that the chances of winning the lawsuit are less than 10%. Such a mentality makes taxpayer human rights in Taiwan get even worse. The Tai Ji Men case is a very clear case of intentional framing. A senior auditor of NTB in Taiwan, Mr. Huang Guangguang, also pointed out that Tai Ji Men case is obviously illegal taxation, and the Taiwanese government should not sanction people with imaginary tax. This reveals that Tai Ji Men is not just innocent and tax-free, but also a fact-for case created by public power from the beginning. Why the tax bill issued when there's no tax from the very beginning? Because of the bonus. The NTB and the enforcement agency both receive huge bonuses. The bonus schemes are like the opium to the tax system. As we are aware, drug addiction is dangerous. People may get crazy, out of mind, and even killing. In Taiwan, the illegal bonuses are just like drug. The tax authority and administrative enforcement officers are enticed to issue tax bill as many as possible, to add up penalties several times, and to seize property valued exceeding tax on for auction. People's life and property are trashed deliberately and discriminately. A property valued 2.5 million was seized for traffic penalty of just 80,000 over 100 falls. A house worth 20 million was seized for license tax of 38,000 over 500 falls. While Tai Ji Men case was not guilty for any crime of tax, 50 plots of land were illegally auctioned off. Why? Because the higher the auction revenue, the more the bonus. Therefore, the root of problem is the bonus. No bonus, no problem. Let's take a look at how generous the price. According to official statistics, the NTB provides on average more than 100 million New Taiwan dollars in tax incentive payments each year. The enforcement agency provides 170 million New Taiwan dollars in exclusive bonuses each year. Each employee in the enforcement agency would receive on average for more than 220,000 New Taiwan dollars in exclusive bonus each year. This money is equivalent to more than 4 months of wage for the average Taiwanese worker. Also, these bonuses do not have any legal ground. Eric Ru, the chair of European Interreligious Forum for Religious Freedom, ever indicated that Tai Ji Men case happening in a democracy Taiwan lowers the very standard of democracy of the entire world. It sends a message that injustice would not matter. Whatever you are, bad guys can win get good guys, and that there's no accountability in this world. Professor Kenneth Jackson said that when the government official abuse the power, it affects not only the victim of that abuse, but affects all of us. Because that means the rule of law is not be followed. In addition, whether it's a good culture or bad ethos, it will spread around the world. So I urge anyone who faces the injustice to stand up and stop it, so that it doesn't spin into a global problem. In addition, I also call on all Taiwanese officials to think differently. If you or your friends, relatives, or children were illegally taxed, or if your property was seized and auctioned due to minor fine. Can you accept it? Please try to think this way and listen to the voice of your conscience so that you will know what you can do can truly sustain the future of your people and your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Huang. I agree that the injustices that Tai Ji Men has faced in Taiwan, a democratic country, affects the standard of democracy in the entire world. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Joy Tang.
Hello, everyone. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Joy. I'm the R&D engineer of semiconductor manufacturing. I'm very happy to be here today. Today, I would like to share some of my thoughts. The SARS epidemic broke out in Taiwan in 2003, and the entire population was concerned. Also, I was only 10 years old at that time. I recall Taiwan vividly. Taiwan was also able to band together quickly to fight the initial wave of COVID-19 because of its experience with SARS in 2003. This disease has been waging war with us for nearly 2 years. Because some people appear to be living with the epidemic, they are accustomed to it. As a result, they are less cautious. This reminds me of the image of frogs boiling in hot water. After we stop paying attention to it, we've grown accustomed to it. Abrupt counterattack and the drastic shift always catch people off guard and leave them feeling tremendously regretful. This seems is akin to the Taiwanese people and the legal text. And the legal text perception is like to an invasion. Also, Taiwan is renowned as a beacon of ancient democracy. There are still many fractures and imperfections beneath its glossy look. According to my observation as a youth of Taiwan's generation, it is critical for everyone to comprehend the critical relationship with it. Only by working together to put things right, we can ensure Taiwan's future. The Lausanne School Management in Switzerland has published 3 reasons for the low competition in Taiwan, one of which is the tax environment. Do we understand that the tax system is closely related to us? It will affect foreign companies, local enterprises, market vendors, and then affect our life. The unjust cases and the opaque tax environment that many tax victims have encountered have deterred foreign businessmen from entering Taiwan to invest because they first issued a tax bill and then negotiate how much tax to pay, as well as a malfunctioning relief system. The tragedy of countless Taiwanese companies bankrupted. Only when the entire population understands that many unreasonable legal tax have silently affected the life of the people and the least harms to Taiwan, there where we were located. Can everyone stand up and speak up so that these so-called bureaucrats, political hooligans, and the democratic asshole can be scrupulous? Democracy under the rule of law, as the name suggests, is based on the people. The law is the rule, the pursuit of fairness and the justice, the right and wrong, and the conscience of heaven and earth are the fundamentals. Taking history as a mirror, we will know that culture is the foundation of a country and the economy is the lifeblood of a country. Over the years, I have often found a group of people who are quietly hitting the cracks in Taiwan on the street and the social networking sites on my way to the work. There are volunteers of the Legal Tax Reform Alliance following their footsteps. I learned that there are so many tax victims in Taiwan. According to statistics, there will be an increase of 14 million cases of tax arrear in 2020. This is an incredible number. In other words, there is an average of 1 in 2 people in Taiwan's population. The people you meet on the road, most of them are people who owe taxes, or is there really a problem with these taxi systems? In 2000, Ye Yangchun, a high-tech engineer who originally worked overseas, enthusiastically brought DNA chip technology back to Taiwan and contributed his talents. However, the NTB even recognized the technology stocks as a salary income, asking to pay sky-high tax bill of more than 4 million yuan. Because of this ridiculous tax bill, Ye Yangchun's bank account was frozen and most of his salary was deducted. The most terrible thing was that he was restricted from leaving the country, which prevented him from returning to the United States to reunite with his wife and children, and finally led to divorce. A beautiful family was then fragmented. The Life Victory teams has turned into 1 million tax victims in seconds. What is even more unbelievable was the perception of the false Tai Ji Men case that has been outstanding for 25 years, which is a stand on democracy and the rule of law. The starting point of the entire tax case turned out to be a prosecutor's illegal and full indictment. In 1996, the Tai Ji Men criminal case was judged in the third instance by the Supreme Court and was determined to be innocent and not owe taxes. The supervisory office also investigated the prosecutor Ho Kuan-ren and raised a major violations of the law, ask the legal department to strictly investigate the responsibility. The above is my most basic common sense of citizens. Isn't the third court trial the highest certification of democracy and the rule of the law in Taiwan? What is the basis for the tax authority under the executive yuan to continue to issue false tax bills? We can think of two possibilities for this. Either the tax authority override the 5 yuans and shake the foundation of the country, or they know that there is a mistake but cannot admit it because the bonus has been distributed. Are too many people involved in this case? This is an obvious false case. There is one important message I would like to say. The Taiwan government allocated a budget of more than 20 billion yuan to the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs each year. However, Tai Ji Men has never received government subsidies, fundraising, or donation. The minister and his disciples, at their own expense, has visited more than 100 countries and more than 300 cities around the world, participate in more than 3,000 cultural exchange and performance in the world, and promote national diplomacy. During the COVID-19 epidemic, more than 30 virtual events were held online to share the importance of the culture of conscience globally. I also learned practical anti-epidemic 3 don'ts and 5 do's and 6 tricks to protect me and my family during the epidemic. I also share the anti-epidemic video to the whole world, hoping to help the world fight the epidemics. From this case, I have not only seen the strong support of domestic experts and scholars from various industries, but also recently discovered that this incident has attracted the attention of international scholars, experts, and the media. It can be seen that the resolution of this case is the cornerstone of Taiwan's democracy. More and more people have been awakened to take action after understanding. However, tax finance has existed for a long time, and some people even use it as a tool to fight against it, which is a pain in people's heart. In recent years, democracy movements have emerged around the world, including Hong Kong, Thailand, Belarus, and other countries, and the youth have played a key role in them. I call on the youth of Taiwan to encourage them to think from a different perspective, to think beyond the atmosphere of the mainstream media, and to look into the bottom from an objective perspective, so that they can find the root cause. We hope that the government will be brave enough to implement the reform and do the right things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tang. There's been so many cases of injustices regarding tax that shows a fundamental issue within the National Tax Bureau. Therefore, we must continue our fight for justice and bring forth the truth. Finally, I would like to welcome Mr. Alan Hung, our last panelist for tonight.
Hello, everyone. I am Alan, a university student living in California, United States, and I have been practicing Qigong at Tai Ji Men for over 12 years. Through practicing Qigong, I've been able to significantly improve my physical and mental health, and also been able to learn to think more positively, as well as being able to remain calm under stressful circumstances. I also had the opportunity to travel to various parts of the world with Tai Ji Men to spread the culture of love, peace, and conscience. More recently, I've traveled to Honolulu, Hawaii, New York, and the United States capital of Washington, D.C. Traveling with Tai Ji Men showed me new perspectives of the world and how, no matter your cultural or geographic background, all people want to strive to live in a more peaceful and more prosperous world. However, despite all the good that Tai Ji Men has brought to the world, it has been the subject of a 25 years illegal fabricated persecution by the Taiwanese government tax bureaucracy. Today, I would like to focus on the negative consequences of the Tai Ji Men case for not only the people within Tai Ji Men, but also the negative consequences for the democracy of Taiwan and its people. As mentioned multiple times before, Prosecutor Ho Kwan-ren initiated the persecution by submitting false evidence and testimony in regards to Tai Ji Men, falsely classifying Tai Ji Men as a cram school. Multiple people, including Dr. Hong, the leader of Tai Ji Men, was illegally detained for extended periods of time, strongly pressured to give false testimony against Tai Ji Men. The misinformed media also published stories on television that are completely based upon the false fabricated claims of Prosecutor Ho and the Tax Bureau. You can just imagine the division it must have created for the Tai Ji Men people's family members and other extended social circles. Even after the Taiwanese Supreme Court declared Tai Ji Men's innocence in 2007, the Tax Bureau continues to harass Tai Ji Men with an endless cycle of tax bills that seems to have no regard for the rule of law. The consequences for a democratic society that does not follow fact-based evidence and the rule of law are significant. Democracies operate based on the principles of truth. If the government tolerates or turns a blind eye towards its own officials fabricating of evidence during investigations, the state no longer values truth, and furthermore, no longer values the rule of law. Moreover, the state will then no longer act to serve and protect the civil liberties or rights of the people. Rather, the state will become more and more extractive and exploitative towards the same people the state is meant to protect. A culture of fear and uncertainty develops when the institutions of power become more arbitrary and based further away from facts, truths, and real evidence. the consequences of which means the people being governed may take action because of fear and because of uncertainty. We have heard many stories of people negotiating or compromising tax amounts with powerful tax bureaucrats, even though that they did not own any of the tax in accordance with the law. The flawed cash bonus system of the tax bureaucracy also incentivizes illegal behavior from tax officials who choose to exploit the people of Taiwan for their own personal gain. A final consequence I would like to point out for Taiwan's democracy, because of the Taiwan continuing Tai Ji Men case, is the number of resources wasted by the state to try and uphold something fundamentally non-existent. The people's resource of money, and perhaps more importantly, their time, is utilized to defend against something false and fabricated from the very beginning. The amount of effort and energy given by Dr. Hong and Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters could have been utilized elsewhere to fulfill positive dreams and ambitions. Yet, as mentioned multiple times by previous speakers, this Tai Ji Men case has been continuously and unnecessarily dragged out by the Taiwanese government without any reason. In conclusion, the consequences for Taiwanese democracy because of the perpetuating Tai Ji Men case is severe. The utilization of false and fabricated evidence continues to diminish Taiwan's rule of law and the accountability of its officials. The government continuously reinforces a culture of fear among the population, often extorting its own citizens with tax bills that do not have a basis in the law or fact. Furthermore, the number of resources used by the state to uphold the outright fabricated cases could have been easily utilized in a significantly more constructive way. The fact that the Taiwanese government continues to turn a blind eye to those rogue government bureaucrats is a testimony to the broken nature of Taiwan's democracy. In order for Taiwan to continue to be a beacon of democracy and its institutions to serve that of its own people, it must follow fact-based evidence as well as uphold the rule of law, regardless of whether or not you are a high-ranking official or a hard-working citizen. The collective of Tai Ji Men dizi calls upon Taiwan's government to end the Tai Ji Men case and persecution, to return Tai Ji Men's sacred land, and to restore the rule of law to Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And before we close out our forum today, as we all know, we are still in a pandemic, so we would like to remind everyone of ways to protect ourselves and those around us. Please enjoy the video. Conscience empowers us to tolerate, forgive, and love one another, and thus it shortens the distance between people and between nations. With conscience, we can build a better world with peace and prosperity. And the designation of September 21st as the International Day of Peace reminds us to reflect on our past, improve ourselves, and contribute to our communities. We hope that this will lead to a watershed moment in resolving the Tai Ji Men case and bring justice back to our world. I would like to thank our speakers for stepping forward with their impassioned speeches and thank everyone for tuning in to our forum today. And just a reminder, there's another forum in about 8 hours from now at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, continuing this conversation with panelists of European experts, Taiwanese scholars, and witnesses from Tai Ji Men. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and remember to turn on your notification bell, and we hope to see you soon.